This morning, let's explore the three characteristics discourse. This is Lama Jigme Gyatso of the Buddha Joy Meditation School. Welcome to Meditate Like a Jedi. This is the Lama you are looking for. This morning, we could chant and meditate and enjoy a lesson or two, but first, if you love Star Wars and you wish to meditate as profoundly as Ahsoka Tano on Lothal, be sure to subscribe and ring that notification bell. If at any point during this morning's live stream you have a question about meditation or philosophy or even chanting, do not be shy. Simply type your question in the chat window on the right-hand side of the screen. Unless, of course, you're watching a replay, then you'll want to type your question in the comment area below the video. So I'm going to tap button 5, and let's take a gander at this morning's lesson. This adaptation of the Three Characters Discourse is rooted in the Anguttara Nikaya and Samyutta Nikaya passages of the Buddhist canon. It was translated by Nyanatiloka and adapted by yours truly. All formations are transient, all formations are subject to stress, all things are without a self. Therefore, whatever there be a form or feeling of appraisal, love, impulse, or consciousness, whether past, present, or future, one's own or external, gross or subtle, lofty or low, far or near, one should understand according to reality or to wisdom. This does not belong to me, this am I not, this is not myself. So, what is inferred in this text is, number one, the three marks of reality, stress, change, and selflessness. But this is the most important thing. These things do not exist as metaphysical truths to be that we are to wrap our minds around and be able to write philosophical treatise upon, nor are they things for us to cling to tightly as a belief or a tenet. Au contraire, remember, the Second Noble Truth teaches us that there are stressors, but we exacerbate our stressors by being slaves to our primal drives to shove or reach or cling. Contemplating these things simply helps us to let go. That's it. That's the only purpose they serve. If we let go because of a belief or because of self-talk, then when we lose the capacity for belief or self-talk in fatigue or strong emotion, then we are high and dry. However, if we rely upon the most fundamental corner of our central nervous system, our autonomic nervous system, which isn't even in the brain, it's in the spinal cord, then as long as we are alive, we have the capacity to practice the Buddha's teachings. I'll go into further depth on this subject in just a few minutes. I guess I should have said greater depth. That would have been a more apt choice of phrase. Let's do some housekeeping for approximately 30-40 seconds. Every 12 hours, I broadcast a live meditation class without any ads. This channel supported by the generosity of viewers just like you. With your help, this channel could come to support the next generation of nuns, monks, yogis, lamas, and even brick-and-mortar meditation centers. For the cost of a cup of coffee, For the cost of a cup of coffee. That's what I should have said. Anyway, if you want to help out, you can capture the QR code right here, or click one of two links in the description area below the video. Wham bam, thank you ma'am, Bob's your uncle. So I'm looking for button 9. If you've just joined me, welcome. Remember, if you have any questions, type them in the chat window. Gotta adjust word. There we go. Just as an athlete might warm up before going to bat, we can warm up the neural pathways responsible for love and enthusiasm by performing the recitation of bodhicitta and refuge. May I liberate all beings by relying on the Buddha's example, instructions, and students. May I liberate all beings by relying on the Buddha's example, instructions, and students. May I liberate all beings by relying on the Buddha's example, instructions, and students. Let's take a deeper look at my adaptation of the Heart of Wisdom Sutra. There are many adaptations. This one is based on all 3 schools, and its primary goal is to accelerate the journey of enlightenment, as opposed to create more indulge elitism. Let's chant. It is said that Quan Chi and Pusa had an archetype of enlightened compassion, while moving in the deep peace of perfect understanding, shed life on the 5 aggregates and found them equally void. After this realization, she made peace with all pain. So we're going to stop the chant, we're going to pause the chant, and do a quick exploration here. So let's explore the idea of perfect understanding. It doesn't come from blind faith, the frenzy, the rigidity of blind faith, or the frenzy of skullduggery. It comes from deep peace. If we are not taught how to meditate correctly, transcendence will forever elude us. But don't worry, we're going to learn that in just a couple seconds. Shed light on the 5 aggregates and found them equally void. No matter how we carve up our experience of the present moment, there is a way to let go of them. Not based on self-talk, not based on belief, but by skillfully using our autonomic nervous system. The result of this is not that we live in a gilded cage, where we only experience some phenomena and we experience nothing unpleasant. Au contraire. Enlightenment. When one is enlightened, one continues to experience the full spectrum of human emotions, from the glorious to the grotesque. One is mindful of the outer world and the inner world. However, one has mastered the Buddha's Eightfold Path to the point of practicing it spontaneously, habitually, easily, and effectively. Consequently, whether something is pleasurable or painful, we make peace with it. No matter how strong our primal drives may be, we are aware of them, but we are not controlled by them. Our choices and utterances and deeds have been liberated. Fabulous. Now let's put this into action. You've heard me blather on about the autonomic nervous system. It divides in 2 between the sympathetic and the parasympathetic. Each is accessed by breathing. So as long as you breathe, you can practice the Buddha's method. Every time we inhale, well, let's rephrase this. We practice the root of mindfulness by silently and mentally reciting, notice this, during each inhalation. For that is when we access the sympathetic nervous system that is wired to support the sensory acuity that allows us to notice sensations, flavors, scents, sounds, sights, and the like, as well as emotions, intentions, thoughts, memories, and imaginings. When we try to perceive these things from a place of rigidity and indulging our controlling tendencies, that's called yang or patriarchy, and it really fouls things up. But if we practice from a place of flexibility and being laid back, then we'll soon find that the only label we need ever use during mindfulness is simply the pronoun this. The root of meditation is to silently and mentally recite emptiness during each exhalation. You see, the question could be raised, what are we to do with all the stuff that we notice? Well, during each exhalation, we are already wired to physically relax and mentally release. We could find ourselves releasing our habitual resistance to the presence of what we hate, the absence of what we crave, and the loss of that to which we cling. But what has all this to do with the idea of emptiness? Whether you call it by the three-syllable word emptiness or the Sanskrit word shunyata, three syllables too, or the English synonym void, the monosyllabic synonym void, it was never intended to be taken literally. If we take it literally, it leads to the rigidity of superstition or the frenzy of skullduggery. However, we take it figuratively, it opens up the door of possibility. As I mentioned, we are wired to physically relax during our exhalation. When we do, whatever we previously noticed during our inhalation now begins to feel as if it was as non-graspable as a vast, empty void. Now, what's a real-world example of a non-graspable, vast, empty void? How about the illusion of the infinite azure sky on a bright and beautiful cloudless morn, which, although is tantalizing to the eye, is intangible to the grasp. And there you have it. During the in-breath, we perceive. During the exhalation, we release our grasp as if it was as non-graspable as a vast empty void. This is not based on belief. This is based on naturally occurring physiological processes for everybody with a functioning central nervous system. In a nutshell, the key to experiencing emptiness is relaxing as we exhale. Let's continue with our chant. Listen, Shari Buddha, form is emptiness, emptiness is form. Form does not differ from emptiness, emptiness does not differ from form. By the way, I should probably put this in there just to prevent future confusion. If you decide to meditate, or if you methodically develop your endurance to meditate for longer than 30 minutes, you may find it beneficial to switch gears from a 3-syllable exercise to a 1-syllable exercise, which I will explain momentarily. The screen might go nuts. If that's the case, I will deal with it toot sweet. So before I do any more jibber jabbering, I'm going to verify that the display is still in sync. Fabulous. So after 30 or so minutes, you may wish to practice the 1-syllable version, which is simply this void. We've already established that voidness is a synonym for emptiness. Fabulous. Now let's continue with our chanting. Listen, Shari Buddha, form as emptiness, emptiness is form. Form does not differ from emptiness, emptiness does not differ from form. The same is true with feeling of praise or impulse and awareness. Listen, Shari Buddha, all phenomena are marked with emptiness. They are neither produced nor destroyed, neither corrupted nor purified, neither increasing nor decreasing. So, sometimes our mindfulness shows us dichotomies or dualities. By using the same physiological processes of our sympathetic and parasympathetic nervous systems, we can work through them. This and that, how not to. There's a certain magic to working with a proximal pronoun. It really helps us to transcend our controlling tendencies. Let's continue. Therefore, in emptiness there is no form, no feeling, no appraisal, no impulse, and no awareness that once perceived cannot be released. So this is a highly figurative text, which is normal. Humans are, all vertebrate life forms on this planet evolved to think symbolically. So the preponderance of figurative communication in every civilization should not surprise us. Listen to a Washington, D.C. soundbite, and you'll see some stuffed shirts say something like, well, I don't disagree with that. Well, don't disagree was a double negative, and that's what we see here. An inferential double negative. So basically the idea of these next several passages is whatever we perceive, we can release due to the magic of our autonomic nervous system. And of course, I'm using the word magically in a figurative manner. Let's continue. Whoops, wrong button. No sensation, no flavor, no scent, no sound, no sight, no phenomena that once perceived cannot be released. So this is a little hard on the eyes, so I can do a page division right here. No body, no tongue, no nose, no ears, no eyes, no mind that once perceived cannot be released. No feeling, no tasting, no smelling, no hearing, no seeing, no noticing that once perceived cannot be released. Same thing, this is a bit taxing on the eyeballs, so I'm going to half it in size. Let's see here. All right, fabulous. Let's continue. No interdependent origins and no extinction of them from confusion to aging and death that once perceived cannot be released. Okay, here we go. What's that bad boy? No stress, no exacerbation, no liberation, no path, no understanding, no attainment that once perceived cannot be released. It's easy to get neurotic and controlling about everything, including, ironically enough, the means of liberation. But to explore how every facet of liberation also, once perceived, can be released, can help us to shed our neurosis or it could shed the tyranny of our neurosis the way a butterfly does its chrysalis. Because there is no attainment that once perceived cannot be released, the bodhisattva archetypes of enlightenment supported. Mother perfection of understanding, find no obstacles for mother Maza once perceived none cannot be released. So you'll notice this is the second time I use the phrase archetype. Archetype of enlightenment, archetype of compassion. Why do I do this? It's very easy to get stuck in the duality of them and us. They are great and I am wormshit. They can become enlightened, I'm wasting my time. So that can be overwhelming. And it's typically the product of elitist indoctrination, which makes us easier to manipulate. However, an end run around that is to view these great bodhisattvas as archetypes that we can use to help us, inspire us. When we view the antics of bodhisattvas, real or exaggerated, as simply archetypes, then we can feel very much like it's safe to consider that some of their exploits may be figurative, metaphors, or similes, or hyperboles, or hyperboles, if you prefer. Let's continue. Mother perfection of understanding, find no obstacles for them as I once perceived cannot be released. Having no obstacles I once perceived cannot be released, I transcend the tyranny of him, liberating themselves forever from the tyranny of illusion and realizing perfect nirvana. So listen carefully. We're not being told to ignore confusion or ignore fear. We're being told to free ourselves from its shackles. We do that by practicing a type of mindfulness that is vulnerable, passive, visceral, and spontaneous. And then always relaxing as best we can during the exhalation. It's as simple as that. Which reminds me of the wonderful rock opera Tommy in the song I'm Free. If I told you what it takes to reach the highest high, you'd laugh and say nothing's so easy. But you've been told so many times before, Messiah's pointed to the door, no one had the guts to leave the temple. The Who. All Buddhas of the past, present, and future thinks of this perfect understanding, arrive at full right and universal enlightenment. And therefore one should know that perfect understanding is like a great mantra, is like an unequaled mantra. So, we are telling people, and reminding ourselves that the perfect understanding that comes from noticing as we breathe in and relaxing as we breathe out is like the ultimate mantra. So let's not follow the superstition. The destroyer of all suffering, the incorruptible truth. A mantra prashaparamita's perfection of understanding could therefore be proclaimed. This is the mantra gate gate para gate para samgate bodhiswaha. May also notice, relax, and release that we go completely and perfectly go to enlightenment. So this was never intended to be taken literally. It's always been intended to be taken metaphorically, even though for a handful of centuries it was taken literally, which is really, really sad. So now let's go to our primary practice. Notice this emptiness. The Buddha taught the 7 enlightenment factors. The third one is energy. So do not be shy. Inhale enthusiastically. It is 25. Oh, I guess before we go on, I would be remiss if I didn't remind you how to perform crease counting. See, according to this, we can count 16 rounds upon our left hand, and 16 sets upon our right, which is pretty mysterious unless you know the technique, which I'll share with you right now. It's simple. Let us consider the fingers of our left hand. Each finger has 3 sets of creases and a tip, allowing us to count 1, 2, 3, 4. Or in this case, first round, second round, third round, fourth round, fifth round, sixth round, seventh round, eighth round, ninth round, 10th round, 11th round, 12th round, 13th round, 14th round, 15th round, 16th round. I recommend advancing the thumb during our inhalations. Now, if we use our right hand to count sets, first set, second set, third set of 16 rounds, fourth set of 16 rounds, and so forth, when we get all the way to the 16th set of 16 rounds, that's 256, approximately 30 minutes. So your own built-in timer, which is really cool. So there you go. You can tell your friends that you now know how to count to 256 on just 8 fingers and 2 thumbs. It's 27 minutes after the hour. Let's meditate. Forgive my sinuses. People who are taught to overemphasize emptiness sometimes have a psychotic break and get scared that nothing is real. But our job is not to determine real or not real. Our job is to notice and release. That's it. It's like catch and release, only less sadistic. Our job is not to control our experience. Our job is not a successful meditation is not one without thoughts or feelings or emotions or fantasies. It's one in which we're able to get more and more comfortable with noticing and releasing. That's it. Your mind can do whatever it wants. We're just noticing and releasing. One cannot think their way to nirvana, nor believe their way to nirvana, but one can notice and relax their way to enlightenment. Wherever humans are, there's going to be a significant proportion that are elitist, that will stretch the truth or outright lie about so-called about who they view as competitors. There's a popular teaching that Theravada does not lead to enlightenment, but merely nirvana. That Mahayana takes the length of 3 great aeons, and that the only quick path is Tantra. And that is a marvelous marketing campaign, but it's just not accurate. If you feel an aversion, crankiness, that's great. Label it this as you breathe in and relax as you breathe out. Now, if you feel pain in your limbs or your joints, before you let go of them, hearken to them. That's your body telling you you need to make an adjustment if you wish to preserve your health. This is not a path of asceticism. You don't get brownie points for needlessly developing arthritis. Despite the ravings of fundamentalists. Now you might say, what's the difference between preventing injury and neurotically pampering yourself? And the answer is going to be frustrating. It's a judgment call. Give yourself permission to make mistakes. The more vulnerable we are to the results of our actions, the more quickly we'll educate our intuition. That's the only way. The only way to learn how to ride a bike is to fall down. People sometimes ask, hey, I don't like having painful recollections when I'm meditating. How do I get rid of them? The answer is, get rid of them. Don't get rid of them. Employ them. Put them to work. Give them a benefit plan and a 501 and a what's that, a 403k? Is that what it's called? Anyway, 401. Oh, I'm confused. Anyway, all these digits. Anytime you have an unpleasant memory or unpleasant fantasy, that's just going to make awareness all the more easy. It's an inconvenient gift. Emptiness is not something we believe or understand. It's simply something we feel because of how we're wired by evolution. Some people have been so conditioned by patriarchal society that they're scared of taking an inauspicious rebirth. The Buddha touched on that, and he said the key to taking an auspicious rebirth was training in love. That's why we begin every practice with our recitation of bodhicitta and refuge, and we conclude every practice with 3 more recitations of love and wisdom. So that's taken care of. It's safe to meditate. It's safe to live. It's safe to die and see if there are multiple lives. You might say, I don't want to die. Well, no healthy person wants to die. No healthy organism wants to die. But that doesn't stop death from coming. I don't want an insignificant life, you might say. The meaning of life is found, according to our oxytocin-oriented reward system, in love. Train in love before and after meditation, and your life will be more meaningful. The setting of intention through recitation helps us train in love. The taming of the tyranny of neurosis through meditation helps us to be more loving and wise. Here's the great irony about meditation. Noticing and relaxing makes a panic attack impossible, a temper tantrum impossible, because these things require tension. So it's easier to prevent a temper tantrum than a panic attack, because there's a whole cascade of domino effects. But if you catch it quickly enough, you can prevent it. If you don't notice your panic attack until it's upon you, then you can surf it by persisting with this simple technique. Our job in the panic attack is not to stop the panic attack. It's not to obey the panic attack. It's to profit from it by noticing and releasing, as if it was as non-graspable as a vast empty void. Some people are just wired to jump right into 60 minutes of twice daily meditation, and that's fine. Most of us aren't. So if you want to take the gradual approach, here's how you can do it in 32 weeks. The first week, practice one set of 16 rounds. The second week, 2 sets. I should rephrase that. 1 set of 16 rounds every 12 hours. The second week, 2 sets. The third week, 3 sets. And by your 33rd week, you could have grown quite accustomed to twice daily practice for an hour. You could have grown accustomed, your partner could have grown accustomed, your pets could have grown accustomed. So there's no mystery. Anyone can do this. In using the lingo of the 7 enlightenment factors, as we energetically and joyfully inhale, we can practice. We experience the coalescence that supports mindfulness. As we tranquilly exhale, we experience the balance that the Buddha endorsed or inferred when he spoke of the dangers of the tyranny of craving and hating. The Buddha advised us to be an island unto ourselves, to test the teachings in the crucible of our body and mind, practicing the teachings twice daily and after a week or so noticing their results. Bad results, we discontinue to practice. Good results, we continue to practice. But those given to patriarchy's rigidity and controlling tendencies don't like that. They say, do as I say, believe as I tell you to believe. If you don't resonate with me, you must be a narcissist. That was the advice of a very popular, that's the advice of Mr. Jordan Peterson, the patron saint of incels everywhere. And if you wish, you may switch now to the monosyllabic version of the exercise. I'm going to take a moment to slide a zafu under my tuchus. Let's seal the practice with 3 chants. Beginning with impermanence, zeal, and love. May each being take auspicious rebirth, master the Buddha's path, and then help all others do likewise. The ethics of kindness. May all beings practice of kind communication, conduct, and calmness flow spontaneous and uncontrived. And the 4 immeasurables. May everyone be free from stress, may everyone be happy, may no one be separated from the happiness, may everyone have balance from the tyranny of hating, craving, and clinging freed. If you feel I have earned it, type something in the chat window. Give this live stream a thumbs up and share it on social media. In approximately 10.5 hours, we could explore Casper, a friendly meditator, as well as chant and meditate some more. Until then, may you and yours be happy and healthy. And if you are as geeky as me, this is the way.